This spinach and egg casserole is going to be the best. With mozzarella cheese, spices, and a ton of flavor, this casserole would be perfect not only for breakfast or brunch, but also a vegetarian dinner, meatless Monday, something like that. Or even as a side dish. I started off with two 10-ounce bags of baby spinach, just under 600 grams total. I washed it, and what I did is I took a medium purple onion, a little over 200 grams, so half a pound with the skin on. I chopped it up and I sauteed it for 5 minutes in a tablespoon of butter and a tablespoon of canola oil. Then I added the spinach in phases. I took half of one of the 10-ounce bags, so 5 ounces, and I put it in the pan, and then I covered it. I don't have a lid, so I took a broken pan that I had and put it on top. I kept it on medium heat, gas mark 3 out of 6, just like when I just had the onions in there. And 2 minutes later, I took off the lid, and it had wilted significantly. So then I stirred it, I added another 5 ounces, covered it for 2 minutes, and then I added half of the second bag, another 5 ounces. So 3 phases for adding the spinach. Then I cooked it uncovered while stirring for a total of 25 minutes, including the 6 that it was covered. Actually, it was 20 minutes for the spinach, and then 25 minutes considering the 5 for just the onion. However, the last 5 minutes of the spinach, I added a tomato, a small tomato, and I just cooked that down, chopping it up further as it cooked down. There is a lot of liquid. I know a lot of people would probably drain it, but honestly, I think that liquid has a lot of flavor, so I'm going to try to solve that. I'm adding some flavor, a bit of tang, half a cup or 120 grams of sour cream. I'm giving the fat-free a try, trying to be a little bit healthier. I'm adding 4 ounces or half of a block of low moisture part skim mozzarella, 5 large eggs, 4 whole, 1 large egg white. Let's go over the spices first. Half a teaspoon each of garlic powder, onion powder, and black pepper. And for the liquid, I'm going to add some flour. Here I have a quarter of a cup or about 40 grams of all-purpose flour. I added some flour to my collard green casserole. Not sure when that's going to be up, and I think it worked out well. I don't think it's going to taste like flour. I definitely think it needs something because, like I said, that's a lot of liquid. Spinach is actually quite watery. It's surprising if you've never worked with it. So yeah, even though a quarter cup seems like a lot, I think it's going to do a good job of absorbing the liquid, and it's not going to make the casserole taste like flour. So all I have to do now, this is cooked. My 8x8 casserole dish is greased. All I'm going to do is take my spinach and dump it into this mixing bowl, and I'm going to combine everything together. Everything for the egg and spinach casserole is now mixed except for the eggs and the flour. I tasted it and it tastes amazing. I'm just going to work in the flour, and then I'm going to add in the eggs. I added the flour, and as you can see, it does not look quite as watery. What I should have done before I added the flour was mix it a bit so that you would get a better idea of how watery it was. But even just looking at it, I think you can tell that with the flour, it is definitely a bit thicker. I tasted it, and it does taste a bit like flour now, but just like with making a roux or even just cake or bread, once the flour is cooked in this casserole, I don't think you'll be able to taste it at all. Here are my eggs. I'm going to mix in the eggs, and then I'm just going to pour everything into my greased casserole dish. My spinach and egg mixture is now ready to be poured into my 8x8 casserole dish. My spinach and egg casserole was in at 350 for 20 minutes. Then I knew I had to get going, so I turned it up to 375 for I'd say another 20 minutes. I have to get going now, so I'm going to turn off the oven and put it back in. It's almost done. I think it'll be fine if I just leave it in the oven as it cools off. Like I said, life got in the way, so I put my spinach casserole with eggs back into the oven. About an hour later, I finally had the chance to try it, and honestly, it was amazing. Of all of the egg and vegetable bakes that I have done so far this fall, I honestly think that this spinach casserole, along with the turnip green casserole, were my favorites. Spinach has a nice mild flavor, so it combined very well with the sour cream and cheese. The onions and tomato added even more flavor, making this casserole extremely delicious. I was also really satisfied with the level of moisture. As you can see, once I cut it, it wasn't runny at all, in spite of all of the moisture that was present in the pan while I was sautéing the spinach. I think what happened is that I not only cooked it down a good amount, but I also added just the right amount of flour. Could you make this spinach casserole with eggs without adding any flour? In addition to soaking up the moisture inside of the casserole, I think that adding the bit of flour helped to brown the top and the sides, creating a very nice texture contrast. Could you make this recipe without adding any flour? I'm sure you could. I'm sure it would taste delicious, but honestly, I think it would be kind of watery. Although my intention was for this spinach casserole with eggs to be a breakfast or brunch casserole, or maybe a vegetarian lunch or dinner for Meatless Mondays, while researching this recipe, I discovered that some people make spinach casserole as a Thanksgiving side dish. Most of the Thanksgiving side dish recipes seem pretty similar to mine. They add sour cream and cheese, usually mozzarella or Monterey Jack, but I'm not sure if they add the onions and tomato. If anyone makes a spinach casserole similar to this one for Thanksgiving, please let me know. Like I said, I discovered this while researching the recipe, and honestly, I was fairly surprised. Whether you make this spinach casserole with eggs and sour cream for breakfast, brunch, or Thanksgiving, it's absolutely delicious. I know some of the other casseroles use leafy greens like collard greens that some of you may never have tried before, but I think spinach is more mainstream. Almost everyone knows it and likes it. So if you want to try one of my egg baked casseroles and you're looking for something that's a bit more mainstream, give this spinach version a try. I know you'll love it. As always, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.